Hello students, today we are going to start with our next topic that yesterday we have completed the Henry's law. Now today we are going to start with the application of Henry's law. Now we have already studied what is Henry's law. It is actually a relation between the partial pressure and the mole fraction of a particular gas in the solution. Now here we have to see the application of Henry's law. The first application is soft drinks. You have seen the soft drinks like carbonated drinks. In these drinks we add carbon dioxide by increasing the pressure. So this is in accordance with the Henry's law, because Henry's law says that pressure is directly proportional to mole fraction. So if you are increasing the pressure, then more and more gas can be dissolved. Second is that people which are living at high altitudes, they have lower atmospheric pressure. Why? Because at high altitudes we have the pressure less, we have lesser pressure, and as a result enough oxygen cannot be dissolved in blood, because if pressure is less, the mole fraction of that gas will also be less in the blood. So that's why enough oxygen is not there in the blood, and that's why the people will have the mental retardedness and they will feel anoxia. So this condition is already known as anoxia, where they will have headache. In that case they will be also feeling suffocation because enough oxygen is not there in their blood. Now what is the solution to this? The blood starts producing more and more hemoglobin, and the hemoglobin affinity with oxygen will decrease. Third is scuba divers. When they dive deep inside the water, the pressure will increase, and as a result the nitrogen gas will also dissolve in blood, because when scuba divers go very deep inside the water, in their air cylinders or in the surroundings they have nitrogen gas. Now this nitrogen gas is generally not soluble in our blood, but since they go very deep inside the oceans where the pressure is very high, there this nitrogen gas also dissolves in the blood, and when they come up on the surface of water, the pressure starts decreasing. So when the pressure decreases, the solubility of the gas will decrease, and as a result this nitrogen gas will now escape out of the blood because it is now no more soluble. When this nitrogen gas escapes out of the blood, this will come out in the form of bubbles. This can block the blood vessels and will cause pain, and this pain and this condition is referred to as the bends. For this, the divers now use a tank which contains 11.7% of helium, 56.2% nitrogen and 32.1% of oxygen in their diving apparatus. So these are the three applications of Henry's law. Now other than this, we have some other things also where the pressure dependence is not there but temperature dependence is there. Fishes are more comfortable in cold water as the temperature is less and gases like oxygen are more soluble. You have seen that the fishes are more comfortable in cold water. Why? Because yesterday we studied that the solubility of gas increases with the decreasing temperature. So in the cold water more and more oxygen will be available, and because of that the fishes will have greater oxygen and hence their survival capacity will increase. But in the case of hot water, the oxygen will escape out, so there are greater chances of death of fishes. The next topic is vapor pressure of liquid. Now what is the meaning of vapor pressure? First of all we'll understand that, and then we are going to study what is the vapor pressure of liquid. So vapor pressure is the pressure exerted by the vapors of a liquid in the equilibrium with the liquid phase. Whatever are the vapors which are present in the liquid, the pressure when those vapors exert which are in equilibrium with the liquid phase, means whatever liquid is present in the solution and the same vapor of that liquid above the solution, those are in equilibrium at a given temperature is called as the vapor pressure. So vapor pressure is actually the pressure of the vapor of that liquid in the solution. So this is the basic and the general definition of vapor pressure. Now we will study that what are the various factors which affect the vapor pressure, means the vapor pressure of liquid or any substance. How is its vapor pressure affected? First is the nature of liquid. See students, whenever we have liquid, the liquid will have the molecules inside it. When more and more molecular attraction is there, then these molecules will have tendency to be close to each other, and in that case they will not get evaporated, and when they are not getting evaporated, no vapors are formed, and when no vapors are formed, no vapor pressure is developed. So more is the intermolecular force, lesser is the vapor pressure, and vice versa. Okay. Second is temperature. As you are increasing the temperature, the evaporation will increase and hence the vapors will form. As a result, vapor pressure will increase. Third is surface area. More is the surface area, more is the evaporation, and hence more is the vapor pressure. Fourth is, which is important, it is the addition of non-volatile solute. What will happen when you add non-volatile solute? Non-volatile means which does not evaporate, which will form no vapors, which do not form any vapor. If you add this type of solute in the volatile solvent, then what will happen? So it will decrease the vapor pressure. Why it will decrease? Because the free surface of the solvent has less area and some area is occupied by non-volatile solute. Hence surface area will decrease, so will be the vapor pressure. What does it mean? Suppose you have one container and you are only having here volatile component, only pure volatile component. In that case, all of the molecules at the surface will be of the volatile component. Hence all of them will evaporate and will cause vapor pressure. When you mix non-volatile solute in this, then on the surface will have half of the volatile component particles and half of the non-volatile solute particles. In that case, only half of the surface area is available for evaporation, so the vapor pressure will also decrease by half. So adding non-volatile solute will decrease the vapor pressure, the overall vapor pressure will decrease. After reading this, let us now understand what is the meaning of Raoult's law. Raoult's law states that for a solution of two volatile liquids, means when you are taking two volatile liquids, the partial vapor pressure of each component is directly proportional to mole fraction. You are taking here first of all volatile liquids. Understand this in the case of Raoult's law. In Raoult's law, you are taking the volatile liquids. So they are saying that in the case of volatile liquids, you will have the partial vapor pressure of each component directly proportional to the mole fraction. Means both of them are volatile, so their partial vapor pressure will be proportional to the mole fraction. Greater the amount of their mole fraction in the solution, greater will be their vapor pressure exerted on the solution. So this is the Raoult's law. Now we will have two cases. First will be the binary solution of two volatile liquids. In the case when we have two volatile liquids, means both of them are volatile, then now we will see that what will happen in that case. So we'll have here partial vapor pressure of each component and it will be directly proportional to its mole fraction according to Raoult's law. So the total vapor pressure of the solution will be equal to the sum of partial vapor pressure of two components. Why? Because both of them are volatile. So when we talk about the total vapor pressure of the whole solution, it will be equal to the sum of partial vapor pressures of each of the component in the solution. For the binary solution, we'll have two components. Following the Raoult's law, both of them will have PA directly proportional to XA. This is the form of Raoult's law. This is Raoult's law, which says that partial pressure directly proportional to the mole fraction of that component in the solution. PB will also be proportional to XB. Both of them are the volatile ones. Now we have to find the total vapor pressure. For total vapor pressure, we'll add partial vapor pressure of A and partial vapor pressure of B, that is PA plus PB. Now, have you ever thought that if we remove this proportionality sign, what will we get? We'll get P naught A and P naught B in the separate cases. What is this P naught A and what is this P naught B? P naught A is the vapor pressure of pure A. This P is that vapor pressure which has been attained in the solution after mixing of B. But this P naught A is that vapor pressure which was already present when no B was there. Means when only pure A was there, that time its vapor pressure, that is P naught A, and PA is that vapor pressure of A which is in relation with B. Similar is this case. So putting the values of PA and PB as P naught A XA and P naught B XB, what do we get? So now can we write this XA in a different way? Can we write instead of this XA 1 minus XB, because yesterday we learnt about the mole fraction. What I explained you, that XA plus XB equal to 1. So XA equal to 1 minus XB. So I have put here, and let it be this way only, P naught B XB. This is our P total now. Now what can you see? Let us multiply this. Let us open this bracket. We get P naught A minus P naught A XB plus P naught B XB. Let us solve this further. What do we get? We get P total as P naught A minus, suppose here it is P naught A plus P naught B XB. Now can we reverse this sign? Yes, we can reverse this sign. So we can get P total equal to P naught A plus P naught A minus P naught B, P naught B minus P naught A XB. So we have reversed these so that to reverse the sign. Finally, we can get here what we wanted, that is P total. It is a total vapor pressure will be directly proportional to the mole fraction of any component. Suppose instead of this XA, if I converted this into 1 minus XA, I would have got here XA. That means P total will also be proportional to XA. That is what this says, that the total vapor pressure will be directly proportional to the mole fraction of each component, each volatile component in the solution. Let us understand this graph. What does this graph says? This graph says that when you had P naught B and P naught A as the initial vapor pressures of the pure solution, these were highest, right? But as you added more and more of, suppose you take this P naught B, now as you added more and more of A component, that time this PB tended to decrease. Why? Because free surface was not available. That case PB decreased. So your final PB was here. This reached to 0. This reached to 0 when whole of the PB was, or whole of the B component was diminished and only A component was now there. You are understanding my point? What I am trying to say is that P naught B was maximum, but this P naught B which we have here is becoming lesser with time when you have here more of A component and lesser of B component, because now this component is less, ultimately its pressure will decrease. And similar is here, that P naught A was maximum when it was pure, but as you are going to add more and more of more and more of XB, means mole fraction of B, and as you are going to decrease more and more of A component, then this PA will also decrease. On the intermediary of P naught A and P naught B, when we collate this graph, we get this, that is P total equal to PA plus PB, and this is the line for P total. This explains the first graph for the binary solution of two volatile liquids. Now we'll take the second case, where is the binary solution with one non-volatile solute, means one will be the non-volatile solute and one will be only the volatile component. When there is a non-volatile solute, its vapor pressure will be nil because it is non-volatile. In that case PB tends to be 0, but PA will be there, that is P naught A XA. Now when we add this, what do we get? We get P total equal to P naught A XA plus PB is already 0, that means only P naught A XA. So now what we are going to do is, suppose we take here, instead of XA, we take here P naught A 1 minus XB. In that case, what do we get? We get P total equal to P naught A minus P naught A XB. Or else, what can I say? So I can say over here that I will get here P naught A XB. If I take it over here and this over here, so I will get here P naught A minus P total. Okay, this can be represented as delta P, that is lowering of vapor pressure. Why lowering? Because after all we know that final vapor pressure will always decrease, because you are adding non-volatile solute, the final vapor pressure will decrease. So subtracting these two, we are getting a difference between the two. That's why we are representing it with delta, and that also lowering, and here it will be P naught A XB. Sending this P naught A down, we get XB equal to delta P lowering upon P naught A, which says that this which we have got here for a binary solution which is containing the non-volatile solute, the relative lowering in vapor pressure, which is this, will be equal to mole fraction of solute. So we can say that relative lowering. What is the meaning of relative? Relative means when we take this P naught A in the division. So relative lowering of vapor pressure is equal to mole fraction of B. B is what? B is solute. So in this case we can get that the relative lowering of vapor pressure will be equal to the mole fraction of the solute. So we can say that if we remove this again, send it over here, taking this only. So here this lowering, that lowering of vapor pressure is directly proportional to mole fraction of non-volatile component, because after all we are interested with this only. So this is all how we can calculate this for the non-volatile solute. In our next class we are going to study about the ideal and non-ideal solutions.